times that immediately followed that is where we left off last week. Now today, we're going to return to my story and let my beautiful wife, Shelley, and some of her recollections continue from where we left off last week. Listen to Shelley in this clip.
The night that Stuart left off with in the last part of his testimony, I remember I had waited up for him that night, as I did most nights, and when he came in, I remember just saying, this has got to stop. You've got to stop this. And he said, I know. And somehow I knew in my heart that he meant it this time and that this was going to be a turning point for us. So I went through all the cabinets in the kitchen and poured out all the alcohol that was left in the house. The next morning was a new day. We talked about finding a church together and ended up visiting Glens Bay Baptist Church that weekend. And over the weeks and months that followed, Stuart truly was a new man. God had changed who he was, which changed his anger turned to passion, his selfishness turned to unselfishness, his arrogance turned to humility, and most important to me at the time, his disrespect turned to love. He became the man that I had dreamed of and imagined as a young girl. For you girls specifically in here, I feel like there's one more story that I need to share with you. And the point I want to make is this. You don't have to be a drug addict to be far from Christ. I was saved at a very young age, and I mentioned it earlier in my testimony that I did nothing for years to grow my relationship with Christ. And as a result of that, I too was very far from God, and my heart was unguarded. I want to read you a quote that many of you may have heard before, but just really struck a chord with me. A woman's heart should be so hidden in Christ that a man would have to seek him just to find her. This quote just speaks to me, and because at the time of my life when Stuart and I met, I just think of how different it could have been had I been in the kind of relationship with Christ that I should have had. And I'm not talking about a saving relationship. I was a Christian, but so many years had passed without me studying His Word, spending quiet time every day, even praying on a daily basis. So I was just so spiritually immature, and I feel like a lot of the fault lies with me in that if I had been as spiritually mature as I should have been for someone who got saved at such an early age, I just think it could have saved both of us years of heartache and pain. What a great testimony for me it would have been had my life been where it should have been spiritually, that as soon as I met Stuart, I could have had a hand in leading him back to Christ. So I challenge you girls, if you haven't already started, to do what it takes to make your daily personal relationship with Christ what it should be. Spend that quiet time every day, study His Word, just do those things to grow yourself in maturity with Christ, so that, just like the quote says, for a guy to find you, he would have to seek Christ first. What an amazing testimony that would be.
All right, picture a kid swaying in the tops of the trees, listening to a little transistor radio, formulating a dream. Someday, some child will sway in the trees, just like this, and sing my songs with me on the radio. That is my purpose. Yeah, I have a serious question. Have you ever heard yourself on the radio? Anybody? Yeah, that's okay. But let me just tell you, just imagine your heart, your soul, and a collection of words built up by the melody that your song is sharing to others listening to it over the airwaves. I've experienced it. It was awesome. Awesome. There are no words to define the excitement to be on the cusp of just the realization of a dream. The biggest dream of your life, you can smell it. You can see it, hear it, almost touch it. That's where we return to my story today. I was in a band called Buster Crab. I came up with that name, oddly enough, Ashton and Logan. I came up with the name Buster Crab with a play on words of the name of a famous American Olympic swimmer from the 20s and 30s, who was the original Flash Gordon in Tarzan. Anybody ever seen the old Buster Crab? Okay. Great dude. He's a great swimmer. He won many golds. And, well, let me show you a couple pictures. This first picture is one of our promo pictures from that band. I don't know who that skinny guy is, but he looks angry again. I don't know. Look at this. This is a flyer. Oddly enough, that's a flyer where we played the club that I actually had my epiphany with Christ at. Instead of my heart language speaking for Satan anymore, it was speaking for Christ again through the lyrics of the songs that I wrote about that life change that I experienced. The people who would come to see us in concert would sing these lyrics about my life change with me in venues all over the place. More importantly, though, they'd seen the life change in me that Jesus had made firsthand. Another beautiful facet of this time in our lives was that Shelley was pregnant with and eventually delivered Jessica during these months. Jessica was our youngest fan. In fact, she began jamming with Buster Crab even when she was in utero and followed as an infant. Check this out. She's still so young there on her way to our first show that you can still see the scar from the forceps when she was born. That's how little she is and how young she is.